At 6:14 every morning, Ko places a glass of warm water on the kitchen counter of her apartment in Kyoto. Not coffee, not juice, just warm water, sometimes with a squeeze of lemon. She drinks it before checking her phone, before reading the news, before making a single decision the day will ask of her. Ko is 54 years old, and the way she eats, moves, drinks, and sleeps looks almost nothing like what most people would call a diet. She does not count calories. She does not punish herself with exhausting workouts. She does not spend her mornings measuring powders, tracking macros, or trying to compensate for what she ate yesterday. Yet many of the small habits built into her ordinary Japanese routine happen to support the same things millions of people are desperately trying to improve: their appetite, their energy, their blood sugar, their waistline, and their metabolic health. Now imagine another kitchen at exactly the same time. Someone is standing in front of an open refrigerator, already tired, already rushing, eating whatever is fastest because the day has started before they feel ready for it. They know they should eat better. They know they should move more. They have probably tried more than once. So, what if the difference is not simply discipline? What if it is not about trying harder at all? What if it is about creating a daily environment in which your body has fewer reasons to fight you? Today, I want to show you 7 simple habits inspired by everyday Japanese living. And pay close attention to number 5, because it requires no special food, no supplement, and no extra exercise. Yet it may completely change the way you experience every meal you eat. And number 7, that is the habit that makes the other 6 much easier to maintain. But first, there is something important to understand. Your metabolism is not a simple dial that suddenly turns down the moment you turn 30 or 40. One of the largest studies of human energy expenditure across the lifespan found something surprising. After accounting for body size and composition, adult energy expenditure remained relatively stable from roughly age 20 until around age 60. That does not mean our bodies never change. They do. Muscle mass can change, sleep can change, activity can change, hormones can change, eating patterns can change. But age alone does not explain everything, and that matters. Because instead of asking, "What is wrong with my metabolism?" a more useful question may be, "What does my daily routine keep asking my body to do?" That brings us to the first habit. Every morning, Ko drinks water before anything caffeinated. After 7 or 8 hours without drinking, starting the morning with water is one of the simplest things you can do. There is nothing magical about the temperature. There is nothing magical about the lemon. The real habit is much simpler. Hydrate first, stimulate second. For Ko, warm water is comfortable, so that is what she drinks. Sometimes she adds lemon because she likes the taste. Then she continues with her morning. No complicated detox. No expensive powder. No 30-day challenge. Just water. And there is another reason this tiny ritual matters. The first thing you do in the morning often becomes the first vote for the kind of day you are about to have. If the first action is reaching for your phone, your attention immediately belongs to someone else. Messages, news, notifications, problems. But if the first action is something quiet and physical, drink water, open the curtains, stand near the window, take a few slow breaths. You begin the day from your body instead of from a screen. So tomorrow morning, try this. Before coffee, before tea, before your phone, drink a glass of water. That is it. Do not turn it into another project. Make it so easy that there is almost nothing to resist. Now, the second habit happens at the opposite end of the fork. It is called Hara Hachi Bu. In Okinawa, there is a traditional idea often expressed as eat until you are about 80% full. Not stuffed, not uncomfortable. Not until the plate is empty simply because food is still there. Stop when you feel satisfied but still light. Ko has eaten this way for so long that she does not think of it as calorie restriction. It is simply how a meal ends. And there is a practical reason this can work. Your experience of fullness does not arrive instantly. Eating quickly makes it easier to consume more food before your body has fully registered the meal. Research involving tens of thousands of Japanese adults has found that slower eating is associated with healthier body weight and waist measurements. So, Hara Hachi Bu is not really about calculating exactly what 80% feels like. It is about creating enough space for your body to speak before your habit of eating answers for it. Try something simple at your next meal. Halfway through, put your fork or chopsticks down, completely down. Take 3 slow breaths. Then ask yourself, if I stopped soon, would I probably feel satisfied 20 minutes from now? You do not have to stop. This is not a rule. The purpose is simply to notice. Because the moment you pause, eating stops being automatic. And once eating stops being automatic, you begin hearing signals that were there all along. The third habit is one of the most ordinary things in Japanese daily life. Sanpo, a walk. Ko takes a short walk through her neighborhood most mornings, sometimes toward a small shrine, sometimes toward a local shop, sometimes with no destination that matters. The walk is not intense. She is not trying to break a sweat. She is not checking whether she has entered a fat-burning zone. And she is not staring at a step counter every 30 seconds. She simply walks. That distinction matters more than it seems. Modern life has turned movement into something we think must happen inside a special place, with special clothes, during a special hour, and usually with a number attached to it: calories, steps, distance, heart rate. Japan quietly reminds us that movement can simply be part of getting somewhere. Walking to the station, walking to a shop, walking after breakfast, walking after dinner, walking because the weather is pleasant. And when you walk outdoors, something else happens. Your eyes look farther away. The environment moves around you. Your attention shifts away from the small, fixed visual field of a screen. Your body moves forward, while your mind begins to loosen its grip on whatever it was holding. So tomorrow, do not ask yourself whether you have time for a workout. Ask a smaller question. Do I have 10 or 15 minutes to walk outside? Leave the phone in your pocket for at least part of it. Look ahead. Notice the buildings, the trees, the sky, the people. Let the world move past you. Not every healthy habit needs to feel like exercise before it counts. And now we reach habit number 4, green tea. But the interesting part is not simply what Ko drinks, it is how she treats it. She does not wake up and immediately chase stimulation. Her morning begins quietly. Water first. Breakfast. Movement. Then later, tea. Green tea is deeply woven into Japanese life, and it contains compounds called catechins, including EGCG. Research has investigated these compounds for their possible effects on fat oxidation and body weight. The effects are modest. Green tea is not a fat loss miracle, and that is exactly the point. Japanese living is rarely built around one dramatic intervention. It is built around small things, repeated often enough to become invisible. 1 cup of tea will not transform your metabolism. But replacing a sugary drink with unsweetened green tea, doing that repeatedly, that can become meaningful. Ko usually drinks hers later in the morning, sometimes sencha. Sometimes another Japanese green tea. No syrup, no whipped cream, no giant cup containing several hundred hidden calories, just tea. If caffeine bothers your stomach, your sleep, or makes you anxious, adjust the timing or choose something lower in caffeine. The lesson is not drink green tea exactly 90 minutes after waking, or it will not work. The deeper lesson is this: do not build your morning around needing stronger and stronger stimulation just to feel normal. Let your energy rise gradually. And now we come to habit number 5. The one Ko says she would hate to lose. It costs nothing. It adds no extra time to her day. But it changes the way she eats. When Ko eats, she eats. That sounds almost ridiculous, until you think about how rarely many of us do it. We eat while scrolling. We eat while watching television. We eat while answering messages. We eat standing over the kitchen counter. We eat in the car. We eat while working. Sometimes an entire meal disappears, and we can barely remember tasting it. Ko treats a meal differently. The phone is not competing for her attention. The television is not filling the silence. The food is the event. There is a Japanese phrase, ichi go ichi e, one time, one meeting. It expresses the idea that this particular moment will never exist in exactly the same way again. Ko does not necessarily say those words before eating, but the spirit of the idea is there. This meal, this table, this moment, be here for it. And when you are actually present while eating, several things naturally become easier. You notice flavor sooner, you notice texture, you chew more deliberately, you notice when hunger begins turning into satisfaction, and suddenly, Hara Hachi Bu, the second habit, becomes much easier. This is why the 7 habits are not really 7 separate tricks. They support each other. Eating slowly helps you notice fullness. Removing distraction helps you eat slowly. Walking helps create a calmer transition into the day. Sleeping well makes appetite easier to manage the next day. Each habit makes the next one slightly easier. So tonight, try one meal with no second activity. No scrolling, no video, no email, no work. You do not even have to put your phone in another room. Just turn it face down and leave it alone until the meal is finished. Then notice something. Do you reach satisfaction sooner when you are actually paying attention? Do you remember the food more clearly? Does the meal feel more complete? That is the experiment. Not eating less by force, eating with enough attention to know when enough has arrived. Habit number 6 is sitting quietly on Japanese tables every day. Fermented food, miso, natto, tsukemono, or Japanese pickled vegetables, sometimes amazake. Different regions have different traditions, but fermentation has been part of Japanese food culture for centuries. And modern research on the gut microbiome has made these old foods newly interesting. Your digestive system is home to an enormous community of microorganisms. Researchers are still learning exactly how this ecosystem affects human health, but we know diet can influence it. In one Stanford dietary study, participants who increased their intake of fermented foods developed greater microbiome diversity and showed reductions in several markers of inflammation. That does not mean miso is medicine. And it does not mean one bowl of soup will suddenly repair your metabolism. The useful idea is simpler. Instead of asking, "What supplement should I add?" ask, "What traditional, whole food could appear regularly in my meals?" For Ko, fermented foods are not something she remembers to take. They are simply part of what is served. A small bowl of miso soup, a little natto, some pickled vegetables, ordinary food, ordinary portions, repeated over years. If Japanese fermented foods are unfamiliar to you, start with the one you are most likely to enjoy. It does not have to be every fermented food at once. Consistency is far more useful than forcing yourself to eat something you hate because somebody online called it healthy. And now we arrive at the final habit, the one that holds the others together. Every evening, Ko does something that sounds almost too ordinary to be called a health habit. She goes to bed at roughly the same time, again and again. The lights become softer before bedtime. The phone stops following her around the apartment. The bedroom is kept comfortable, and sleep is treated as part of tomorrow's health, not as leftover time after everything else is finished. This may be the most important shift in the entire video. Most people think metabolism is mainly about food and exercise, but sleep affects the systems that help regulate appetite, glucose metabolism, recovery, energy, and decision-making. Controlled sleep studies have shown that even relatively short periods of insufficient sleep can reduce insulin sensitivity. So when you sleep poorly and then wake up craving quick energy, struggling to move, wanting more caffeine, and finding it harder to stop eating, that is not simply a failure of willpower. Yesterday's sleep has followed you into today's decisions. And this is why Ko's bedtime matters. Not because 9:45 p.m. is a magical hour. It is not. Your schedule may be completely different. What matters is that her body knows roughly when the day ends. There is a rhythm, a boundary, a repeatable signal that says, "We are finished now." Think about your own evening. Maybe the problem is not that you do not know you need more sleep. Maybe the problem is that nothing clearly tells your brain that the day has ended. The television keeps going. The phone keeps delivering new information. One more message becomes 10. One short video becomes 30 minutes. And bedtime is pushed later by tiny decisions that never felt important by themselves. So, do not begin by trying to become a perfect sleeper overnight. Make one change. Charge your phone somewhere you cannot reach it from bed. Or dim the lights earlier. Or stop watching videos 30 minutes before sleep. Or move bedtime 15 minutes earlier. Choose the smallest change you can repeat. Because a habit you can actually live with is more powerful than an ideal routine you abandon after 3 days. Now look at all 7 habits together. Water before stimulation. Hara Hachi Bu. Stopping before stuffed. A simple outdoor walk. Unsweetened green tea as part of a calmer morning. One meal at a time, without constant distraction. Fermented foods as ordinary food rather than a supplement. And a consistent sleep routine that gives the body a clear ending to the day. None of these habits is dramatic. That is what makes them interesting. Ko does not wake up every morning thinking, "Today I must optimize my metabolism." She wakes up and lives inside a routine that quietly removes many of the conditions that make healthy choices difficult. That may be the real lesson from Japanese living. Health does not always come from adding more. Sometimes it comes from removing friction. Less rushing, less mindless eating, less sitting, less stimulation, less food after you are already satisfied, less screen time when your body is asking for sleep. Ko's grandmother lived into her 90s. She walked the same neighborhood, ate many of the same traditional foods, and followed many of the same ordinary rhythms. Not because she was chasing longevity, that was simply what everyday life looked like. And now, Ko stands at the same kitchen counter each morning, glass of water in hand, continuing habits that feel too ordinary to be called a system. Maybe that is why they last. Because the healthiest routine is often not the one that demands the most motivation. It is the one that eventually stops feeling like a health routine at all. So before you leave, I want you to choose just one number, not all seven. 1. Which habit does your life need most right now? Number 1. Water before caffeine and screens? Number 2. Stopping before you feel stuffed? Number 3. Walking outside every day? Number 4. Replacing a sweet drink with green tea? Number 5. Eating one meal without distraction? Number 6. Adding a traditional fermented food? Or number 7. Giving your evening a real ending? Leave your number in the comments. And if you want, tell me why you chose it. Because someone else reading your comment may realize they are struggling with exactly the same thing. And remember, you do not need to transform your entire life tomorrow morning. Choose one habit. Make it easy. Repeat it long enough that you no longer have to think about it. Then add the next one. That is how ordinary habits become a way of living. And that may be the quietest Japanese secret of all. Take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next video.